Well, as you can see, I bought yet another tent. This I think is a wee bargain though, £53 this cost me. And it's not junk by any means, it's a Naturehike Tagar 1. My friend James has had one for years and uses it during the summer for below the tree line biking and backpacking trips. And you really can't complain at that kind of value. It reminds me a wee bit of the MSR Hubba NX. The difference being though that this is a hybrid, it's single skin with a hybrid mesh wall at the front and a mesh wall at the rear with a wee boot space, which I'll show you inside in just a second. But normally I think they retail about £80 to £90, but I've managed to pick this up for 53, and including a footprint as well, which I probably wouldn't use when it comes to actual bike packing. I'll probably just use a foil blanket. Comes in about 1.2 kilos, but I think you can pare that down, get it round to about 1.1. But it is roomy and actually looks quite wind stable, quite strong. So yeah, I'll show you inside. First things about it is it feels quite spacious. It's quite a good head height. I've got probably a good 8 inches or so above my head here. I'm not sitting on an inflatable mat yet, but I'll put that up in just a second. Nice usable space because of the single pole arch. You get quite a lot of height right across towards the feet and the head end, so it doesn't feel too claustrophobic. As you can see here, there's a midgie mesh panel which allows some air through, but it is quite well closed at the end, so I don't think there'll be an awful lot of air will get through there. There's one single pocket just for stashing odds and sods, and again at the other end it's mirrored exactly, so what you've got is a rectangular floor plan. Will allow you to sleep either way, so depending on the lie of the land you've got a wee bit more flexibility to make sure you're sleeping with your head above your feet. There's also quite a generous, what I'd call a vestibule cum boot at the far side of the tent, just behind you, and you can unzip that, if I can do it with one hand, and that's actually not a bad size. Actually, you get boots, possibly a pack in there as well. Single lamp hook in the middle, no drying lines or anything like that, but you wouldn't expect an awful lot of bells and whistles in something this price. But it seems well made, it doesn't look cheap, the stitching is good, probably actually better than the Force 10. Seams are all taped because it's PU on the inside, and it looks like a silk nylon coating on the outside, so it should have a reasonable hydrostatic head, and it feels quite strong. It actually feels quite wind stable, and I can testify from James using it on the coast of Arran that it does actually handle winds pretty well. There's also a wee vent, a wee prop vent at the back here, just above the midpoint, just to promote a wee bit more airflow. Because there is no vent on the main vestibule. So being a hybrid, what you've got is a mesh wall sewn straight into a fly sheet, and you've got that on both sides. So it certainly promotes a wee bit more airflow. I think it's more a kind of summer tent than anything else, but that's all I really want it for, bike packing and backpacking when I want to travel light and for below the tree line. The tray ground sheet is quite deep actually. It must be probably a good 5 or 6 inches deep. So, and again it's taped as well, so there shouldn't be any issue with water ingress. So that's my Neo Air X-Therm in place, and at the foot end it's right against the inner, and at the top you've probably got another foot. Actually this is longer and it looks pretty generous in terms of width, more so than I remember on my mate James. His to my mind seemed a lot tighter, but this actually seems very spacious. So yeah, I can get my pack in the boot at the back, so that tucks that out the way and leaves me more room in the front vestibule. So I've closed up the vestibule just to give you more idea. It's actually not too bad. Feet are under cover, and as you can see, yeah, again you could probably get a pack in, cook and stuff. If you wanted to cook, say, between your feet here, you would definitely, I think, have to pull the inner and just pin it out of the way with maybe a peg, and that does give you enough height. So yeah, I could cook in here. One thing you can't do though is vent it from the top. There's no top zip, so it's going to get kind of wet with condensation. In fact, I guarantee it will get wet with condensation. Construction seems absolutely fine. Naturehike have been around a good number of years now, and the quality control seems pretty spot on. Fabrics, I'm not convinced about the tear strength of these things, so I wouldn't be taking it into the high mountains. But for light backpacking, below the tree line, bike packing, I don't think you can really fault it. And at £53 with a footprint, quite amazing. And I'll get it down to about 1.1 kilograms. Hopefully this gives you some impression of the space. Yeah, it's good. You could change, no bother. You're not touching the sides. Yes, you'll get a wee bit of runoff from condensation maybe, but I don't really think it'll be a major problem in here. Again, my friend said it hasn't been. So if I lie back and I'm off to one side, yeah, there's tons of space. But the main pole is extremely long and seemed really tight when I was putting it into the clip. However, it went in, but it's drum tight, which maybe not a bad thing. And again, the cross pole was very under a lot of tension to get into here. The pegs are very much in the style of mini groundhogs, but the same length, almost the same section, a kind of Y curved section, and got pullers on them, which is great. So there you are, the first wee look around the Naturehike Tagar, or Tagar one, don't know how you say it, but yeah, I'm really impressed with them for the money. £53, what's not to like? Let's get it out there and try it. Bike packing and backpacking, 1.1ish, and plenty of space. Single skin, so just allow for a wee bit of condensation management, but that's really the main downside. So if you get any questions, drop them below as usual, and I'll be happy to answer anything I've missed. I'll also put a link below the video here for my website and a link to the tent, because I think there are a few left at this bargain price. At that price it's well worth grabbing.